morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy hump day, everyone. Here's a look at the ES and the daily time frame. Still trending up right now, very modestly. Still mostly compressed, sideways to up, melt up phase here. Google, Tesla earnings on deck for after the close today, so the market could continue to kind of build out in a wait and see mode ahead of earnings. And if we get a big response to earnings later on, we could see some late day volatility due to that. But for the most part here, we're still kind of in the trading ranges here. The ES currently trading just above the previous week's high. That's their previous week's high here. And you're still kind of in this super narrow 4-day range right here. Very narrow. And again, hard to sell into this overall trend right now, but at the same time we're getting a little back and forth up here, so it could be some intraday back and forth action. It wouldn't be surprising if we did rotate downward. Any failure back through say 6360 could open up some downside today that could take us back to weekly VWAP 6350, previous week's close, etc. So even though we're kind of back and forth in here, it's still very small range price action. Right now the market's averaging about 50 points per day on a 10-day basis, but we really haven't been hitting that mark the last 4 days. You can see right here we've been somewhere in the 30-40 point range multiple days in a row. Yesterday was 35, day before that was 44, this over here was 33, so very narrow right now, and we have about 31 points heading into the RTH Open. So wouldn't be out of the question here to see a little bit of a pullback here, but then kind of stay in the range ahead of earnings. Looking at the NQ, very similar here in terms of narrow range. This is 49% of ADR, compression here at just 113 points for the day so far, 48% of ADR, narrow compression over the last 4 days, still in the uptrend. You can see it's still holding the 8-period PIMA. That's very bullish, right? In this zone, that's your bullish PIMA trigger zone right here between that line and that line, and you can see it continues to respond there. Even if we got deeper into this zone here, it could still be a buying opportunity short term. We just haven't had the volatility to do that at the moment. So super narrow range price action overall. Even over the last several days, things have kind of quieted down, but things have been a little bit more moderate. 200 points to 250 has been about average here, but even recently, just getting 200 points is probably be enough. So low range price action throughout much of the day, and the 200 to 250 points or more that would come probably comes late in the day. In terms of the bigger portion of the range once Google and Tesla come out with earnings. Looking at crude oil, down about 1/3% right now, 65, holding just above the 64 level. Again, this one looks very depressed. Any bounce that happens, it looks like it's going to be sold almost immediately the very next day. And but at the same time, they're keeping it above 64. They have not even tested that level until right there on that day they hit it perfectly at 64, but they really haven't tested it since. The next time it's tested, does it open up failure? Do we see weakness back to say 58.20 into that FOMC key level from May? That level still yet to be hit. So that's likely the level that we're going to. It's just when do we get there? Remember, right when this day happened and we kind of sat there and said, okay, well, after all of this movement here, we probably go super sideways. And we have. Now, if a failure at 64 occurs, we have a shot to go fill that 58.20, because clearly any pop, this thing's dropping. So the next rally day might be an opportunity to sell. Looking at gold, very strong for gold overall, especially the last couple of days to begin the week. Strong weekly bar to begin the week. Last Friday, right here, we mentioned, well, if next week is a breakout week, it could be, the first breakout in what could be a multi-week rally up ahead. So this could be the beginning, but at the same time, it's hard to judge the weekly bar early on a Wednesday here, so we got to see how that plays out. Currently right now seeing a little bit of a thrust reversal, and 3450 has been our area of resistance. So even when we rallied here, we said boom, we have a target up here. Over here we see it react to 3450 again. Now we know 3450 is an area that's being seen as resistance. So we're right there right now. Maybe today is a whole day after 2 days of strength. We're seeing compression here. That compression right there after those couple of days, that could lead to perhaps a buildup of energy that can push us through resistance down the road. Can that happen up ahead? If so, this week could be the first week in what could be a big time continuation. All right, let's take a look here at the YM. Here's the YM. Super compressed as well. Look at that compression to begin the quarter. This is exactly what we were looking for. Obviously, this thing has been in compression and go mode for a while. This was designed to get us to the edge, about 3,000 point move from 42 to 45. Now, to begin Q3, it has been the teeniest of ranges. It's a 1,200 point range for the entire month so far. 1,204 points for the month so far. That's tremendous. Because again, back here, some of these days were 1,200 point days on a regular day, let alone some of these massive days which were much more than that. So this is huge right here for this compression, because the next move will be another 3,000 point move. Is it back down to 42, or are we about to make a massive push and try to get up to 46, 47 or beyond? That would be the next zone up above. And this compression, if we get there, I mean, you really start to open up some upside. So watching that compression right now, still in the range. No real expansion potential here just yet. This afternoon could provide a little bit of juice. And again, we're building toward Fed next week, and 4 of the Mag 7 stocks report earnings next week as well. All right, looking at Bitcoin. Here's Bitcoin here. Big time compression. This compression right here is now a 7-day compression. 7 days developing. After these, this move here, 7 days compression. That 7-day range has 13,000 plus points of energy building within it now, and that's kind of a low range target. This thing could easily go well beyond that on the next big move. So you're looking at 10,000 plus easy, and north of 15,000 points, or maybe even 20,000 point move that could be up ahead once expansion occurs from this range. So big time buildup of energy. Pay attention to this range. Once we get expansion, it could be a massive move over the course of the next couple of weeks once that expansion hits. Looking at ETH, we've been working our way higher in ETH here for a while. Are we almost done with this move? I feel like once we get to 4,000, it's going to be ring the register time in a big way. 4,000 to 4,200 right in that zone has been the area, not just here in December, but throughout the previous year. We hit 4,000 at least 3 times. We're very close, and each time got crushed right back down. We're coming into that zone again, especially after rallying from 1,400 and the higher low off 22s. This is a massive move against the range. So if we get that one last push into the zone, there's going to have to be some sort of profit taking that develops here. Does that push us back into the range? How far back in the range do we go? When do we see expansion out of the range through 4,000 into higher territory? That's going to be the big move to watch down the road. But this time around, after so much distance covered from 1,400 all the way up, got to be taking some sort of profits here if 4,000 is hit sooner than later. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.